Hey beauties, good evening to you. So, watching the news, usual line, um, it said that teachers are scared basically for their lives now. I never dreamed the day I would have actually seen this or heard of it. That teachers are scared for their lives. It's a twofold lesson, because let me say this, and I'm not saying this as a mockery to teachers. I remember back in my day as a youngster, there were some teachers who weren't really not nice. They really almost put the fear of God in students, to cause them to comply. And I believe in people complying with rules and regulations. Do not get me wrong. Because if you don't do that, you will have mayhem in a society. You will have decadence in a society. You will have lawlessness in a society. So I personally believe in compliance. There must be a level of compliance. There must be a level of obedience to authority, to laws, to rules, and to regulations. So don't get me wrong. But some of you now, you understand in a sense, not in, what students back in the day used to go through. That's one. But however, the Bible talks about respecting those in authority. They're here, they were put on the planet, and in particular, they were put in schools to move you from dunce to literacy, from illiteracy to literacy, from lacking emotional intelligence to having emotional intelligence, from not having a solid IQ or intelligence quotient to having one. So they're here to make you live life. You're not like a wild beast in a forest. You can live the life as a human being that you were designed by God to be, successfully, succinctly, sweetly. Yes, with challenges, but being able to live life in a blissful manner for the most part. Now, when you have our teachers being scared to come because they don't know what will happen, it is more than a cause for concern. I remember I made a comment on the entire video where the student, the ninth grade female student, and I'm told it was a female math teacher, that she draped and boxed several times in the face. Those boxes must have been really serious for the teacher to be hospitalized. And the following day when they came back, I heard that it said that the tires were either punctured, slashed, damaged, as though they're solidifying a message to the teacher. You don't mess with me. I rule you. You don't rule me. Whatever I say goes. Even though the supervisory management position was given to the teacher. And I was listening to the principal of the school. I don't know his name. And he was saying that, it was he, or was it the reporter? Not the reporter, sorry, the JTA president, Mr. What's his name, Johnson. Sorry, my apology. It was the JTA's president was saying that a number of them are involved in gangs, and it has spilled over into the schools. That has been around from time, but it was tabooed in a sense because you don't want to promulgate a negative message in a school. These are children, these are youngsters. So you don't want to say that, it is birthed in schools. It may not have necessarily been birthed in school, but brought over into schools. Now with the advent of technology and, a different time, a different generation and a different space, it is as though there's nothing that the adults can do because I don't even know how to say deviant or wayward children, that stir from the normalcy. They now seeming to be holding on to the handle while the teachers are holding on to the blade. Is it any wonder why our country, as it's now promulgating a message of fully dons? It's promulgating a message that is fully done, that has gone into the atmosphere. It is now a part of the culture. We're using that terminology so often that even well-meaning, well-educated people are using it. I know maybe they're using it sarcastically, or it's now a part of it. So mind if you can't beat them, you join them, sort of a mentality. Teachers are scared. Ha! Teachers are scared. The Bible says if you Spare the rod and spoil the child. Basically, you'll be raising a monster. And I guess the powers that be are comfortable with monsters becoming the new generation. They're comfortable with it. Because I cannot understand for the life of me, why is it that a teacher cannot discipline children? There's I said to myself, I thought about the whole, uniform, the modifications of the uniform that some teachers had a problem with and would send home students, or the hairstyles. We're not talking about things that are done out of religious purposes. But, if your hair is unkempt, they say they don't want this. I understand now the purpose of compliance. It teaches accountability. It teaches accountability, teaches discipline. So it is not that, yes, maybe I'm not necessarily, I don't know the foundation of where it is coming, the motive. Some people may say it's because they're bad man, they don't want the child to look. Maybe not necessarily. Not necessarily in all cases. I understand the whole thing of compliance. As simple, don't wear a particular hairstyle to school. And I said to myself, you're only there for a short period and only for a few years. After a while, you'll be an adult. You can make your own decisions. So just comply with the school. If they say care all your hair, no earring, no this, no that, you won't die. You won't die. You're a youngster. You're there to focus solely on learning, moving from illiteracy to literacy, moving from dunce to bright, moving from lacking emotional intelligence to having one. And that is what matters. After you become your an adult, or you're on your own, so to speak, then you can wear the different hairstyles, the different colors if you so desire. Because the reality is that if we work in organizations and the organizations say, I'm paying you, but do not do this, you have to respect the organization. Why we don't do the same for the schools? Compliance is a must. It teaches accountability. It teaches discipline. It teaches respect. It teaches honor. Discipline is good. Ask the man who does the bodybuilding. He or she has to discipline him or herself to have that particular body. They have to discipline a certain number of hours to exercise and the kinds of food that they eat. Even when they don't feel like doing it, they do it because they know it will pay off in the end. So I don't know how it is that we expect to get corn from the peas that we have sown. So we have sown peas, so we're going to, I don't understand how we're expecting to reap corn. How is it that you're expecting to get an eagle instead of a John Crow? And I'm not calling anybody a John Crow. I'm talking about what the end product of something is. I don't want anybody to say I'm calling anyone that. How do you expect to get a swan when you planted, what should I say, a duck? So you want an eagle, but it's chicken eggs you planted, or the John Crow eggs. Does that make any sense? Does that make any sense? When teachers don't have any sort of, when I say autonomy, some level of power and authority, not to use as abuse to children, but to teach control, to teach accountability, to teach respect. When students see that this child gets away with it, because one, you got 10 days suspension for further investigation. All right, 10 days suspension and you come back. We don't even know what that child does when that child is at home, what the parent is saying to the child. In my time, no matter how much trouble I gave her, so we could box a teacher, moreover repeatedly, drape. You know how disrespectful a drape is? And a box, two of the highest forms of disrespect. I tell people, you say the head here, don't touch people in here. So there was a man, a black man overseas who spat in a police officer's face and they gave him 70 years. I know they're not, obviously with time, it will definitely go way, way, way down. But it's a lesson to show you that's a disrespect. People may say it's racially connected. Perhaps. But to spit in a police officer's face, you know how disrespectful that is? Believe me. Draped a teacher, much less. I can hardly fathom it. Oh, what a web we weave. Guys, follow me on TikTok. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please share this message.